Thank you. Thank you very much, Naomi, and welcome everybody to Talk Money Week this week, which is run by the Money and Pension Service. And the idea of this week is for people to start the conversation about money. And so that's what I'm here to do with you. So a bit of background about the Money and Pension Service for those that may not have heard of us. We're a arm's length organisation linked to DWP, and we are funded by the levies that the large financial institutions pay into the government. And so what that means is that everything I'm about to share with you is free of charge. It is a trusted source of information, it has to be, and it is recognising that the government wants to help people with their financial well-being. We've been, as an organisation, I joined in 2019, but as an organisation, we've been running for quite a few years under different names. So there's always been a priority around supporting people with their financial well-being. The slides I'm about to share with you, I would say, will be helpful for everybody on this call. It will be helpful for all of your employees, your colleagues, your family, your friends. Share the information. They will find it really helpful, and it is more than likely that they won't have heard of the Money and Pension Service, or the bit that I'm going to talk about, actually the consumer facing brand, which is called Money Helper. So please share that information. The other thing to say is that all of the information I'm going to share with you is just suitable for everybody. This isn't just about who we think are the people that are really struggling with their money from day to day. We're all struggling with money, and there's a lot of information in here that a lot of people will find really helpful. So who we are. So our vision is clear and straightforward. We help people, particularly those most in need, but also we help everybody to improve their financial well-being and build a better, more confident future. That's what we're here for. It is as simple as that. We deliver financial guidance and support across 5 functions. This slide, oh, here we go. So first of all, pensions guidance. So we provide information to people about workplace and personal pensions. One of the key areas, really, we know pensions is really complicated. This is my world, and it is a really complicated area. So there's a lot of work we do around pensions. We provide support around money guidance, so providing information designed to enhance people's understanding and knowledge of financial matters and day-to-day management skills, and that includes work, housing and life events, and a lot of that will be the background of what I'm going to talk to you about. The next 3 areas, so consumer protection, we work with the government and the FCA, Financial Conduct Authority, to help protect consumers against financial scams, ensuring our customers can identify and protect themselves and their finances. As you can imagine, scams, it's a moving feast. You know, it changes every day, and we do a lot of work behind the scenes to try and support people with that. Strategy, well, we wrote a financial wellbeing strategy for the UK. That was in 2021. And the idea of it is to develop a close collaboration with industry and stakeholders to try and build a financial wellbeing movement in the UK. And the hope is that that will then collectively improve financial well-being for everybody. And then finally, debt advice. So we don't provide debt advice. We're not an advice organisation. We are not regulated by the FCA, and that is not our role, but we are the largest funder of debt advice in England. So we provide people in England with information and advice on debt, and are the largest single funder. So if you go to a Citizen Advice or some of the national debt charities, they will all have been funded by us. So that's our role. So our vision, and this is what we work for, is financial resilience, confidence and empowered. So if somebody feels confident about their money, they feel financially resilient, they can then feel empowered. So our mission is to work together with people to help manage their money today and for the future. And that's why I'm talking to you today. So, as I said at the beginning, our service is open to everyone. Money Helper, this is the consumer facing bit that I want to talk to you about, is helping people to clear their debts, reduce spending, and make the most of their income, to support loved ones, plan ahead for major purchases, and find out about entitlements. We want you to build up in savings and pensions and for people to know their options. For Money Help all in one place, that's what Money Helper is for, and that's what we're going to cover today. So although we supply a lot of support and there's loads of information, primarily on our website, it's a website offer, there are times when we're not the experts in everything. And so what we then do is we do signpost out to other trusted services. So, for example, if we were talking about benefits, we can put a lot of information on there about benefits, but actually, the experts are going to be DWP or a Job Centre Plus. That's the place where you need to find out more information. So much as I'm saying to you, use Money Helper, use it for information, share it with your employees. Actually, it might be that some of the information we supply you can find elsewhere, and we will always signpost out. And the other thing to say here really at this point is I do get a lot of people that say to me they like Martin Lewis, and that's fine. I'm happy if people want to go to Martin Lewis or a trusted source for their information. I'm just keen to make sure that people get the help and information that they need. So Money Helper is here to put you in control with free, impartial help that's quick to find, easy to use, and backed by the government. Here to help you so you can move on with your life. And here to cut through the jargon and complexity, explain what you need to do and how you can do it. So I'm going to go into Money Helper now. These slides will be available after the presentation, but just so that you know, Money Help, all of it is available on the website. However, there is a phone number and you can also get leaflets as well. So I will be putting details of that at the end of the presentation. So I do apologise, this slide is a bit small, so I'll just sort of work through it. So what I wanted to do with you here is to just go through with you 4 really useful tools that are on the Money Helper website, which you may or may not know are available, and I think really helpful to know. So the first one is there is a workplace pension contribution calculator. So people can go onto our website, they can put the details in, and they can find out where they are with their workplace pension. The other thing is a savings calculator. We do try to encourage people to save. We do recognise it's really difficult in today's world where you can't even afford to pay your bills. To even think about saving is just a really massive issue. But the problem is that you need to have some sort of money in the background, ideally, for any accidents that might happen. So if the boiler goes wrong or the washing machine goes wrong, where would you get the money? So we do try to help people with savings. We have a budget planner. That is fundamentally what we tell everybody to do. You need to do a budget. You need to understand how much money is coming in and how much is going out. And a budget planner is the only way to do it. Now, we do have a budget planner on our website. It is quite detailed and probably takes about, I would say, about half an hour to complete. But once it's done, it's really useful. So, I mean, other people may use budget planners in other ways. So, for example, an Excel spreadsheet. I've always used an Excel spreadsheet for my budget. I'm not really bothered how you do it. I just want you to understand and make sure that you know where you are with all of your money. And then we do have, and I'll cover this a bit later as well, a pensions calculator on the website. So they're sort of 4 really useful tools to know about that you can find on the website. And then, as I said earlier, we do talk about work, benefits and more. So for people who are looking at tax and national insurance, young people in the workplace don't really understand what tax is for and what national insurance is for. I did a presentation a few years ago to some university students and they didn't know what national insurance is and what it's for. So there's really helpful information for people, really going down to the basics actually to explain what that is. Again, getting started with savings, so how people can think about savings. We also do things like car insurance. If you want to have a look and see if you can get cheaper car insurance or travel insurance is one of the biggest areas on our website that people use. So a big sort of area on insurance. And then we talk about other areas of people's employment, so salary sacrifice and their pensions. We talk about universal credit for people who are claiming that. So a lot of information around a lot of people's life choices. So it's really just to say to you, that is just a snapshot of a whole host of information that is available on our website. So just looking at securing your future, so looking at your employees, friends, colleagues, and looking at pensions and what, where there's help available for that. And looking at savings as well. So some bullet points here. Work out how much you can afford to save and find out how to set and reach your savings goal. I was really surprised actually. I went into this part of the website, I think about 18 months ago, and it tells you the best way to save for a mortgage deposit, or how to save for a car, or how to just do some very sort of limited savings if you can only afford £1 or £2 a week. There are savings plans, particularly a government saving plan, where you can save money and only save small amounts of money. So there's lots of information about that on there. For those of you who may be more interested in investing, have a bit more money maybe, and maybe want to think about what you could do with that money, we show you how to get started with investing. So again, as I say, this isn't just about people who are struggling to save their money. This is about people who maybe want to invest their money and save it in a different way. As I said earlier, you can check out your workplace pension provision, and you can check your savings and use the pensions calculator to help you with that. So it's all around understanding your money and what's going on with it. So Money Helper can help you plan for your future. So 10.7 million people in the UK feel really confused and too busy to think about their pension. That includes me. We've all been there. You all sort of think, I can put it off. I'll keep putting it off. I'm going to be 60 next year. I'm still thinking I need to put it off. I'm not far off retirement. And so I need to really think about, have I got enough money in my savings? Have I got a private pension plan? Am I entitled to my government pension? So I have to really think about that. So Money Helper is a free and impartial government service to help anyone with UK pensions. And I mean anyone. And the stuff they can do is amazing. So, it might be what happens to your pension if you leave your job. Some people sort of say pensions are expensive. Should they opt out? How can you top up your state pension? Is it a good idea to combine your pensions together? These are all really common questions that we get asked, and people phone in to ask those numbers. And so on this slide, again, it is quite small. We'll share the details. We do have a dedicated pensions helpline. So people can phone that to get help and support with their pensions. We also do web chat, and we also do an online form. And again, I think with this, what we're trying to do is to give people lots of options about how they can get support with their pensions. So for me, sometimes I don't want to speak to anybody. I don't want to phone somebody to find out what I want to do. I'm a bit of a Google warrior. Google's my friend. I love going on Google and I look for stuff. Some people do want to talk to somebody, and some people want to talk to them face to face. So it's really important. There's lots of options about how people can access the support they want. And so you can see here as well, I've put a figure, 88% of people were satisfied with the service that we provide when it comes to helping people with their pensions. And I've certainly had feedback about that. And 89% of people who have contacted us found the guidance clear and clearly communicated. And again, I just want to reiterate here, we don't do advice. It is guidance. We are not regulated by the FCA to do that. But our guiders can help a majority of people to the point where they actually may not need to seek further advice and pay for that. So understanding your pensions with Money Helper. So as I said, consumer facing, backed by the government, offering impartial help. 10.7 million people in the UK feel confused and too busy to think about it. So I just wanted to come back to that again, because I just want to reiterate how worried people are about their pensions and what they're doing. So here I've just done for you a screenshot of the pensions part of the website. So if you were to go into the Money Helper website, that would come up and you can see the pink along the top of this screenshot that I've done, pensions and retirement. And you can see listed under there a lot of areas that you can look at. So we talk about an auto enrolment, we talk about building a retirement pot, looking at the pensions basics, problems with pensions, looking at the state pension, how you can check you've got enough in the state pension and anything you might need to do about that. If you're at the point where you need to take your pension, that presents a whole array of options. Really needs thinking about. As I said, I'm 60 next year. I have not even thought about it, but I am starting to think now, actually, when I retire at 67, what am I going to do? What are the options for me? Where do I put my money? How do I do that? So that is an area I will be looking at. We also look at tax and pensions. Pensions are a very tax effective way to save money, although obviously the money is then put away until you are pensionable age, and then obviously pensions and retirement. So lots of information in there, and I just thought it'd be really helpful for you to see a screenshot of what that looks like. So the other thing we do around pensions guidance is we have something called Pension Wise, and you may well have seen that advertised. So Pension Wise is led by the government. We do that for them, and you book a Pension Wise appointment. And what you do is you have to be 50 plus, and somebody will sit and go through with you your retirement options. So you would phone in and you might say, well, actually, when I retire, I want to be really comfortable, and this is the pension I've got so far, and this is where I'd like to be. And so we have help and support available through Pension Wise. And what you have to think is, if at the age of 50 you start to think about your pensions, you still have 17 years of contributions that can help get to where you want them to be. So that's if you retire at 67, 17 years of contributions. That's quite a lot of money that you can have a look at and work out what you want to do with it. And then I thought this slide was really interesting, actually. And this gives an insight of how much people will need when they retire. So these figures are available through an organisation called Retirement Living, and basically I thought it would be really helpful to go through with you the sorts of money people need to think about when they retire. So if you wanted a minimum pension, so minimum amount of money coming in to cover your basic needs, and have some left over for a bit of fun, you would need about 14,400 for a single person, or £22,400 per year as a single person. If you want a moderate income, so you want to allow for a bit of financial security and a bit of flexibility, as an individual, your pension needs to be paying you about 31,300 a year, and as a couple, 43,100 a year. And then if you want to be comfortable and more financial freedom and luxuries, you would need to pay about 43,100 per year, or 59,000 per year. So, and that's on today's money. So that gives you a really good idea of the sorts of money that you need to be getting behind you in order to live the life you might want with your pension when you retire. So it's really important that you understand your pensions options and the type of pension that you've got. So as I've said, we do have help available through Pension Wise, and you have to be 50 or plus to be able to access that. If you don't want to sit and go through everything with an hour appointment at Pension Wise, and it's not always suitable for everybody, it could be that somebody just phones in and just has queries, and our pensions helpline will be able to deal with that. So just coming back to look at financial well-being more generally, Financial wellbeing does go beyond helping people make better financial decisions. It's central to personal wellbeing and thus living a contented life. The increasing cost of living has put a huge financial strain on households, which you can see from these stats, which demonstrated why it's more important than ever to consider your employees' financial wellbeing and to support them. The importance of a society made up of individuals that can manage their money cannot be underestimated. A financially healthy nation is good for individuals, communities, businesses, and the economy. So let's just have a quick look at some of these figures. So 17% of people often use a credit card, overdraft, or borrow money to buy food or pay bills because they've run short of money. It's quite worrying, really. 50% are struggling to keep up, are falling behind, or are falling behind with their commitments. 56% of people, of those in the struggling or squeeze segment, save money every or most months. 16% are in need of debt advice. So that's around 8.5 million people, and it's probably more. And it's something you don't want to talk to people about. Part of Talk Money Week is around, if you're worried about money, talk to somebody. And with debt in particular, that is really, really important. So just coming back to look at pensions guidance again. I keep going on about pensions, but actually this is the main area where people want to talk to us and they have questions. And these are just some screenshots of more information that is available on our website. And then I did say to you at the beginning, we offer free printed guides, which can be ordered individually or by organisations. So commercial organisations would have to arrange their own print run or pay for guides, and we can supply the artwork for that. But other organisations can get these delivered free of charge, or individuals. So for example, my mum, who's 89, wouldn't dream of using the internet. She hasn't got access to websites, and so actually just to order in some leaflets for her to look at is really helpful. And we have a whole range of guides, and they cover redundancy, pensions, making the most of your money, and much more stuff around mortgages, fee-free bank accounts. There's loads. So I would say to anybody, go in to look at our free printed guides and see what you can get. And they're all free and all delivered to your house free of charge, unless, as I say, you're a commercial organisation, in which case there is a charge to use those. So again, here's the pensions summary. Pensions help, that's all in one place and free to use. Just search Money Helper. And thank you. So that is the end of the presentation. I didn't want to make it too long. I think, 25 minutes, half an hour is more than enough. But I did want to give you some time to actually ask me some questions. And I did ask Naomi to keep an eye on the chat function to see if anybody wanted to contact us. So yeah, I can hand over to you now, Naomi, and see. And if there's any questions that you have actually, or anything that you would like covered that I perhaps haven't covered in the presentation.
Thank you so much, Dawn. Loads of fantastic resources there. Much appreciated. There's been no questions so far in the chat, but I'm sure everyone was listening intently. So if anyone does want to ask a question, please do pop that in the chat, or you can raise your hand. Obviously, we're in Talk Money Week, Dawn. So I guess from your perspective, for organisations, for line managers, leaders, what do you want to see them doing more of to start the conversation in the workplace?
So that is a really good question. And one of the things, and I know, Naomi, we've talked about this as well, but for the people on this call who are employers, it's really important to support their staff with their financial well-being. And so there's a variety of ways in which they can look at doing that. So, for example, think about giving your staff financial well-being days, maybe once a year, where colleagues can step back and take stock, utilise their company resources on financial management is one idea. Another one would be an annual financial checklist or guide of all the things that we ought to check and what make good money habits feel achievable, and as a routine throughout the year. So kind of companies to remind people to do that. If you can, with colleagues, try to have richer conversations in colleague networks where money isn't a taboo topic. And then finally, really from me, workplace mental health. is a really massive issue. And some organisations do have workplace mental health first aiders trained and confident to talk about financial stress, a part of their support for colleagues. And I think really for me, when anybody who works, they're not really going to talk to their employer if they're worried about money. You just don't do it. So where do you go when you talk about money? So you could talk to your colleagues, but again, people don't tend to do that. And so, it really does raise the question, where do you go if you're worried about money, and how can you make the process as easy as possible? Because just coming back to that last point, if people are feeling financially stressed, it will affect their mental health, and then it affects their ability to go to work. So it sort of has an ongoing effect. So yeah, really, for me, with all the organisations that are on the call, it's around starting that conversation. And I'm happy to work with organisations individually after this, through any help that they may feel they need. So happy for you to share my contact details, and it might be that some organisations would like me to go in and I could do some work with them as well. And again, all free of charge. There's no charge for it. I'm here to help people and to help them understand what's available.